Hey everyone, we are your presenters. I am Dizon, and this is Yahon, and together we will present to you the history of anatomy and physiology. I'd like you to take a second and really look at yourself. I don't mean to take stock of your life, which really isn't any of my business, but I mean just look at your body. Hold up a hand and wiggle it around. Take a sip of water. Hold your breath. Sniff the air. These things are simple for most of us that we don't even notice them. But each of those things is much more complex than it feels. Every movement you make and every new day that you live to see is the result of a collection of systems working together to function properly, said by a famous scientist named Hank Green. In short, you, my friend, are a magnificent creature. You are more complex than you probably even dare to think. Your body is your own little world. And we're here to help you understand more about your body through the twin disciplines of anatomy and physiology. Anatomy comes from the Latin word anatomia, which is divided into two. Ana means up and tomia means cutting. Anatomy is the study of the structure and relationships between body parts, while physiology comes from the Latin word physiologia, which means natural philosophy, and is the science of how the parts of the body come together to function and keep the body alive. Anatomy is all about what your body is, while physiology is about what it does, and together they comprise the science of us. It's a complicated science, not gonna lie, and it draws on a lot of other disciplines like chemistry and even physics. And you'll have to absorb a lot of new terms, lots of Latin and tons of Greek terms. These disciplines are not just there to describe each part of our body, but because these disciplines are really about why you are alive right now, to be alive, how disease harms you, and how your body recovers from illness and injury. In ancient Egyptian period, the earliest evidence of anatomical examinations was documented early 1600 BCE by the Egyptian people. Many Egyptian paintings, scrolls, and artifacts show anatomical diagrams of organs and blood vessels. Egyptian embalmers were the first to observe human anatomy through the mummification of human bodies.
Ancient Greek period. Hippocrates of Kos, 460 BC to 377 BC. Hippocrates is widely known as the father of medicine. He established the first intellectual school devoted to teaching the process of medicine, named the Hippocratic or the Coan School. He also founded the idea that sickness is not a divine judgment from the gods, but is of natural causes. Hippocrates also coined the theory of humors or the four humors, stating that the body contains four distinct bodily fluids: the black bile, the phlegm, blood, and the yellow bile. Any disturbance or imbalances in their ratios, as the theory goes, causes ill health. The next one, Herophilus of Alexandria, 325 to 255 BC. As Hippocrates is called the father of medicine, Herophilus is known as the father of anatomy. He received his medical training at the Hippocratean Medical School on the island of Kos. He was the founder of the School of Anatomy of Alexandria and was among the first physicians to conduct anatomical dissections in public. With his younger contemporary, Erasistratus, he did the first ever scientific human cadaveric dissection for a short period of no more than 30 to 40 years. Human dissection was then forbidden and was not allowed again for 1,800 years. He made extraordinary anatomical discoveries and developed standards for measuring blood flow from the heart through the arteries. Next, Erasistratus of Chios, 304 to 250 BCE. Erasistratus was a Greek anatomist and physician in Alexandria and was a disciple and collaborator of Herophilus, known especially for his studies of the circulatory and nervous system. He made an important contributions in the study and teaching of human anatomy and carried out research at the Museum of Alexandria. Claudius Galenus of Pergamum, 130 to 200 AD, also known as Galen, and is widely referred to as the founder of experimental physiology. He is the first to use experiments on animals, especially apes and pigs, which give him a detailed information for the medical tracts on the organs and probe the functions of the human body. He also modified the Hippocrates theory and discovered that humoral imbalances can be located in specific organs, including the entire body.
In the Renaissance period, there is Leonardo da Vinci, today's most well-known Renaissance artist and scientist. Performs many anatomical dissections of human corpses that form the basis for his famous, highly detailed anatomical sketches. Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo do not only attend dissections performed by their medically trained friends, but rather pick up the scalpel themselves, with the aim to illustrate the body in all its natural splendor. Not only are body and muscles depicted in the most realistic way, but also the bone structure, the skeleton, and the skin. His surviving 750 drawings represented groundbreaking studies in anatomy. Leonardo dissected around 30 human specimens until he was forced to stop under order of Pope Leo X. Here are some of his anatomical sketches. Next is John Fresnel. Jean-François Fresnel is a French physician who first introduced the term physiology from ancient Greek, meaning study of nature origins. Fresnel was also the first to describe the spinal canal and the brain. Fresnel also suggested that taste buds are sensitive to fat, an idea which only recently has been shown to be correct. Next is Andreas Vesalius. Vesalius was a Belgian-born anatomist and surgeon, born in 1514 into a family of physicians. He is considered the father of modern anatomy and his work known as the beginning of modern medicine. In 1543, at the age of 29, Vesalius dissected numerous human cadavers and took detailed notes and drawings of the human anatomy. Compiling his research, Vesalius published an anatomy work titled De Humani Corporis Fabrica Libri Septem, or 7 books on the fabric of the human body, generally known as the Fabrica. He was one of the physicians to accurately record and illustrate human anatomy based on his findings from autopsies and dissections, which led to improved understanding of the human body and enhanced surgery techniques. He later corrected numerous observations stated by Galen. Throughout the Fabrica, Vesalius frequently praised Galen, but also corrected some of his descriptions of the human anatomy. The next scientist is William Harvey. He is an English physician who was the first to recognize the full circulation of the blood in the human body and to provide experiments and arguments to support this idea. He also made important contributions in embryological research and physiology. His main work is from Motu Cordis, in which the blood circulation model is described through the valves of the heart. The processes of suction and pumping of the blood are carried out thanks to the exchange of the blood used by the oxidized blood. Another leap forward in physiological knowledge came with the publication of William Harvey's book titled An Anatomical Dissertation upon the Movement of the Heart and Blood in Animals in 1628. Harvey was the first to describe systemic circulation and blood's journey throughout the brain and body propelled by the heart. In the modern period, there is Sir Henry Gray. Sir Henry Gray was a British anatomist and surgeon most notable for publishing the book Gray's Anatomy. At the age of 25, he was elected a Fellow of the Royal Society, which were individuals who have made a substantial contribution to the improvement of natural knowledge. He published his book, Anatomy, Descriptive and Surgical, in 1858, a book that revealed the depths of human anatomy to the world. At present, his book, which is more commonly known as Gray's Anatomy, is perhaps the best known of all medical books and is still the basis for most medical students today. Now, in the 17th and 18th century of anatomy and physiology, only few dissections were allowed. Only certain scientists were allowed to perform them. Tickets were sold to others wishing to see and draw the dissected bodies. And doctors literally traveled from dissection to dissection from country to country. In the 19th century, scientists began studying developmental anatomy. England became the center of anatomical research. Anatomy Act of 1832 provided adequate supply of corpses, and Gray's Anatomy was published. Now, in the modern anatomy, the use of new technology provided further understanding of both structure and function of organs and organ systems. Anatomists use CAT scans, X-rays, genetic tests, MRI, angiography, PET scan, ultrasound, which are less invasive procedures in observing anatomy and physiology. All these necessary events and all these important people contributed to the development of anatomy and physiology that we know today. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed our presentation.